Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the SkillsFuture Festival at Smart Nation 2022 webinar series organized by SkillsFuture Singapore and Smart Nation Office. Today's webinar, entitled A Career in FinTech, is organized in partnership with NUS FinTech Labs. I'm Phoebe and I'll be your host for this session. Today, we'll learn more about what it takes to start a career in FinTech with an introduction and sharing session with partners, followed by Q&A to wrap up the session. During the webinar, please feel free to type in your questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. The speakers will address them accordingly. Without further ado, let's welcome Santi Magno, Director, Innovation and Customer Solutions of Mastercard, Donn Yam, Co-founder of Sehat HealthTech Pte Ltd and Alumni of NUS FinTechSG Programme, Wong Yun Han, Strategy Advisor of Moledao, Shao, Director of Outliers VC Dao, Lim Cheng Lei, Senior Program Manager, Industry Solutions Asia of Microsoft. Speakers, please.
Thank you, Phoebe. Good morning, everyone. My name is Donn, and today I'm privileged to have the opportunity to join you in finding out more about the opportunities in building a career in FinTech from four amazing people from four different organizations in the FinTech space. We'll be hearing from Mastercard, Microsoft, Moledao, and Outliers VC Dao. This is also an opportunity for you, the audience, to ask questions and find out more about how you can build a successful career in FinTech. Our first speaker is Santi from Mastercard. He's currently the Director of Innovation and Customer Solutions Asia Pacific. Welcome, Santi, and let's hear more about what Mastercard is doing for payments in the FinTech space and what you are looking for in people who are interested in building a career together with Mastercard.
Good morning, everybody, and pleasure to be here with our other parts of the panel, and really happy to share our view in terms of what's happening in the payments industry right now and what we're looking for in terms of helping get other people involved to what we say here as to cultivate consumer choice in payments. Now, what has happened is that from a payment standpoint, a lot of people, when you wake up in the morning, nobody says that I'm excited to pay, right? But it's actually a part of our daily life, right? And if you take a look at it, what has happened is that in the past, people have just really relegated to payments as a mode of being able to pay for something, right? So people have been used to just really using cash, right? And if you look at the history of payments, it's been a journey. People now use barter, then you wrote checks. Then people started creating cards for convenience because they couldn't carry their cash and checks around. Then you had ATMs. You had ability to swipe on POS machines. Then there was the emergence of e-commerce. Then you started having mobile money in different parts of the world. Then saw the rise of super apps right now, wherein people now created marketplaces, right, all around the world, so that it's not just one way of actually making payments, being able to see what you're able to explore in terms of what you want to buy and want to share with other people. Then there was an emergence of convenience. So there was the rise of being able to use contactless modes like QR, NFC, and then even your wearables were now being used. Ultimately, in this new digital age, we're looking at augmented reality, and we're looking for new ways to pay, like buy now, pay later as well. And at the same time, at the forefront of it all, consumers are always looking for secure ways to pay. So there's the emergence of biometrics and other ways of securitizing payments between consumers and businesses as well. At the same time, consumers are always looking for rewards and discounts and things that would delight them in actually making sure that when they do payments, it actually serves a purpose in their life, right? So as I always say, right, cash used to be king, but right now it's really consumer choice. When we talk about payments, it's all about trying to find a way how payments gets integrated into the daily life of a person, whether it's very apparent or in some cases you want it to be invisible. Now, we actually did some surveys in the past, and based on our research this last year, what we found is that consumers are actually raising their expectations on payments today, right? And right now what they're saying is that they want to be able to pay at merchants that both have online and offline presence. So this gives rise to this whole trend of omni-channel. People now want different ways to pay a certain merchant, right? Because sometimes you do your discovery on your phone, but then you want to wait and think about it. then you come back home and then you pay on your computer, or you actually do a P2P payment. There are a lot of ways to do it, right? But omni-channel seems to be a great trend right now in terms of digital payments. Next one is that a lot of people are actually expecting touchless right now. This is largely fueled by the pandemic. And again, the desire for more convenience. So people are really using a lot of biometrics, QR, NFC payments all around the world. And these numbers that you see are actually numbers in Asia Pacific. So they're very high. And as a matter of fact, Asia Pacific leads the world in terms of demand and adoption of digital commerce, right? And then finally, there's this strong desire for people to really have seamless, personalized, and rewarding experiences. People don't want to be treated like a statistic right now in payments, right? They want to make sure that they feel loved, they feel that they're taken care of, so that they want this thing, this ability to be able to say, hey, I want to be able to buy what I want, when I want it, and how I want it. So there's this need for providing choice for customers. So for us players in the fintech industry, it's now all about trying to find a way to match this need in order to actually evolve payments to the next level. So what has happened, right? We now have a lot of emerging payment methods. And again, when we did our study, we found that 94% of people in Asia Pacific said that they will consider using at least one new emerging payment method this year. So there's this growing awareness right now for different ways to pay, and people are excited. People are also concerned about their security, so they're willing to try new things provided it provides them better peace of mind, and at the same time it gives them that fulfillment that they again are being special, right? So some of the examples that you see that are coming out in the market today, again, people are already used to digital and mobile wallets. In Singapore, you have your GrabPays, right? You have your Dash, Payla. So a lot of these wallets are either run by banks or telcos, or even ecosystem players like ride-hailing companies like Grab, right? And then of course you have your different implementations of QR payments, right? You have SGQR as a standard already here in Singapore, but then you have various contactless modes also in terms of NFC, where people actually use your phones, your cards, or even your wearables to do that, right? And again, biometrics is very strong on the priority list of consumers today. So people are used to doing fingerprints. People are now doing retinal scans or even facial recognition for different types of financial transactions. And it is actually leading the way in terms of trying to create more frictionless experiences for customers. Then there's also this trend about open banking. In Singapore, you have the SG FinDex, right, where you're now able to actually link your different bank accounts in different financial management tools. So a lot of people are now looking to apps that actually help them manage their finances, tell them what's happening, how much they're spending, where they can actually invest. You have robo-advisors that help people make better decisions on where to put their funds. So there's a big space right now here in open banking in terms of providing these options for people to manage their finances and make payments. Then you have buy now, pay later. So again, multiple variations of ways to pay. So before, you needed to have funded your accounts before you need to pay so that you could pay now, but you could also pay later, right? Whether it's a loan, straightforward loan, or a buy now, pay later scheme, which is very, very popular in Asia Pacific these days. Last but not the least, you have the emergence of cryptocurrencies. People are now looking into this alternative ways of paying, so that not just for investment, but they also want to now use cryptocurrencies to actually pay for their daily lives, right? We have instances of merchants that only accept crypto right now. So this just goes to show that there is this demand for increased choice, right? Because people have increasing needs for security, increasing needs for variety in their payments, because our lives have become more colorful in this digital world. I won't even start in getting into the metaverse. That's another topic for discussion. But even payments in the metaverse is also a very big space to look out for. And from an innovation standpoint, it's always important to stay abreast about these things so that you know where you can put yourself into play. Now, going into fintechs, right? So how do fintechs now work to make sure that they're able to capture consumers, right? So a lot of fintechs are now investing heavily in order to differentiate, right? Because again, everybody's coming up with new payment methods, new ways to finance, new ways to authenticate and keep you secure. And what is going to happen is that consumers are going to choose those fintechs that will provide this delicate balance of providing speed, security, and seamlessness, but more importantly, meaningfulness in payments, right? Having relevance, because a lot of people say, hey, I'm not going to stare at my financial app 24 hours in a day. I want to spend more time watching my Netflix shows or chatting with my friends, right? So it has to be done in a very relevant and meaningful space. And how is this done by fintechs, right? We basically anchor investments in 4 key areas. So for people who want to get into fintech, you need to look at these 4 areas to invest your skills and your knowledge so that you could actually participate in this space, right? So the first one is customer experience, right? Again, consumer choice is king. So people now need to understand how to best service and how to interact with consumers better, right? In terms of servicing, it's all about understanding the infrastructure and the technologies and the trends that are available to provide that good customer experience. But data is also used so that you could actually determine how best to interact, when to interact with the consumer, because you don't want to annoy the consumer, you want to delight them. And you will only be able to do that if you understand the consumer. You also need to delight the consumer by creating more excitement. And this is where we're now moving away from just the payments dimension to creating partnerships. And what we're finding is that in fintech, it's important to actually have adjacencies and work with other industries because, again, payments is not the only thing in a person's life, right? There are different parts of a person's life, and payments is just a component in enhancing and enriching this. So you need to create a lot of these partnerships to create this excitement and engagement with consumers, right? And then when you work with these partners, you need to make sure that you've integrated properly, right? So that it becomes a seamless way for consumers to interact with your services. And at the same time, you now share consumer databases and information so that you're able to actually provide the relevant recommendations and appropriate financing, for example, solutions for consumers to consider whenever they want to make payments, right? So when we now talk about these areas, what we found is that it's not really rocket science in terms of trying to participate, right? Because fintech is technology, right? And it requires the same skills that you need in other tech industries, right? But ultimately, what are the jobs to be done, right? You need to understand your users, right? You need to design and build solutions for these users after you've understood them. You need to use the data properly to interpret how to actually make these features and functions relevant for consumers. And again, you have to foster a lot of these partnerships, right? And so some of the skills that we normally look for, right? And when I just looked at our latest Mastercard job posting, these are some of the skills that we're actually looking for when we're actually trying to look for new talent to bring into play so that we could actually help cultivate consumer choice in payments, right? And these are non-exclusive skills. When you look at these skill sets that I'm showing on the screen right now, they actually traverse all 4 of these areas because they work in a very interconnected fashion, right? But to just talk about it very briefly, right? Top of mind, at least for me, as I work in customer solutions and innovation, customer experience research and design is very key, right? Really a new way to understand the customers in terms of how they interact with the world, how they interact with other people, with machines, and with their environments, and making sure that there's a way to properly do the research and design this from an interaction standpoint is a very high skill set that we normally look for, right? Market research and understanding trends and innovation is very key as well, so that you are always up to date. And it is a skill that is really learned because traditionally, you'd be the old ways of doing market research have now changed because of the digital requirements of today, right? So people are now looking for ways to get real-time feedback from customers as opposed to putting them into fixed scheduled closed rooms to just get impact. We need business analysts, right? And people who do new business modeling, particularly when you do partnerships. And a lot of design thinking is really required here so that there's out-of-the-box ideas that come into play. When you talk about building stuff, right? Infrastructure developers, app developers are very high on the list. You need to understand how systems interact with each other. IoT, Internet of Things, and machine learning is very key right now in terms of automating things for people in fintech. And then finally, from a data standpoint, we need a lot of people who know how to analyze data and to engineer data so that it could be used in a meaningful fashion. Put in artificial intelligence there into the mix. And of course, you have to make sure that everything makes sense from a financial standpoint, both from consumer and from the different partners in the fintech industry. So this is just a snapshot of the things that we normally look for whenever we talk to potential partners, right? As we would like to call candidates, as we try to cultivate this new way of creating creative choice for consumers as we collaborate in creating a more digital and more inclusive world for people. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Santi, for sharing your insights. My takeaways from what you presented is that cash is king and is moving to choice is king, right? And touchless is growing because of COVID. And to succeed, you need to make payments frictionless and yet safe for all the users.
Yes.
And the other 4 areas that our audience will need to choose from if they want to enter the fintech space, customer experience, data, partnerships, and infrastructure. Basically, you need to build the necessary skills, and I think it's useful to have a breadth of knowledge with deep expertise in certain areas, right?
That's right.
Okay, so our next speaker is Cheng Lei from Microsoft, an alumnus of NUS. He's currently a senior program manager with Microsoft and co-creating future industries. So let's find out more about the world of work at Microsoft.
Hi, thank you, Don, and very good morning to everyone. I think Santi has gave a very good overview about the different skill sets that we're looking for in terms of tech talent when it comes into the fintech world. Many of these skill sets are fairly directly applicable in Microsoft as well as we look at potential career switches or new employees that are interested to join Microsoft as a whole. But I want to take a step back. I think, as we speak about fintech, as we speak about technology, Microsoft typically will not be one of the first company will pop up in your mind and in terms of, an enabler or a player within the whole fintech industry. I think many would have known Microsoft for what we used to be. So I thought it would be interesting to just give everyone a lens of, what we're thinking in Microsoft, what were some of the transformation that we have done, and why certain values are important to us as a company as we have went through the transformation. And as you develop your career and as you think about entering into the tech space, this is something that you might want to keep in mind as if you're considering even joining Microsoft at some point of time. So let me start here, just giving everyone a view of what was, Microsoft's story in that sense, right? Like I said, the common theme that you would have, and when you think about and you hear about Microsoft is what we are, it's a PC company. It's a company that enables people to use their computers, right? And you're not wrong, because when we started as, when Bill Gates and Paul Allen started the company, this was Microsoft missions essentially. They were saying, they wanted to put a computer on every desk and in every home. And largely, I think, with all the digital transformation and stuff that had happened, Microsoft sort of managed to achieve their mission in that sense. So, it's the technology world kind of really has shifted and changed in terms of how we think about tech. There's a lot of innovation that has came in place. We're talking about metaverse. We're talking about cloud technology today. So what does it actually mean, right? Because of all this growth in the tech world, Microsoft has grown from a small group of 30 odd people into, we have 180,000 people around the world. We operate in more than 190 countries, reaching to about 600 million people connecting on LinkedIn, billions of devices running on Windows, so on and so forth, right? So the question then comes to a point that, but even with this reach and even with this growth, as we ride through, the technology transformation, as we think about the various era where people and were adopting technology in the various industry revolutions, so on and so forth, we sort of realized that the behavior that got us thinking about how tech work and stuff kind of hold us back, because we were thinking tech in a certain way. We will believe that people, have to interact with computers and devices in a certain shape and form, right? So what happened was that, this is some of the news that you will see back in 2010, 2012, right? About with Microsoft still continue to exist after the next few years. That looks like there's a cultural gap. That looks like there's not aligning to what industry is looking for, so on and so forth, right? So because of all these things and that had happened over the industry and
Hi, sorry, I think as usual, technical difficulties. Cheng Lei, we are back.
yes, no worries.
Welcome back.
Yeah, no, so I was saying, we were challenging ourselves as a company and thinking, how can we reshape, Microsoft to better fit the current industry needs and the current transformation landscape and how people are thinking about tech. And this is essentially how, what we thought about it, right? Satya essentially dropped a note to all employees back in 2015. And I remember I was in Microsoft and we were saying, hey, look, we need to rediscover our soul. We need to rethink what we do. And as that exercise, we really thought of our mission. So now we're, from putting a PC on every desk, we now say we want to empower every person and every organization in the planet to achieve more. And what do we actually mean by that? And how do we actually gonna transform the business to achieve that? One and foremost things that as we look at that, because given that there is our purpose in the world and in terms of how we think we exist as a company, especially be it whether it's in the fintech space or in the larger tech ecosystem, we have to evolve our culture, right? And this is something that we look at, in all our candidates, all our potential employees. We want to make sure that they're embracing this culture that we think about. And the culture, it's a simple one. We want to make sure that this is everyone comes in with a growth mindset. You come in with a belief that there are potentials that you can nurture upon. You have things that you can leverage upon. There are things that you continuously will be learning. Technology is not going to be what it is as you know, but it is what it is as you discover, right? And it is okay to come in and be vulnerable and say, hey, look, I do not know certain things. I would like to learn. I would like to find out. I'm here to embrace the change. I'm here to leverage on your inputs and your expertise and round with your colleagues to explore into the unknowns and like what some would say, you learn fast and you kind of fail fast, right? And you try fast and kind of fail fast and you learn fast. So that's really what we're looking at. So all these changes and transformation kind of, what does it mean, right? Because all these are cultural aspect. What does it mean from a tech perspective if you think about what we're doing into it? We are trying to make a difference in the tech world. So I think, the changes would have shifted and people would have, the world has kind of given their take about Microsoft transformation. And I'll just leave the quote here for everyone. But when you look at the, how all this fits in the tech space, this is how we think about it, right? We think about it as building a Microsoft cloud as a whole, where we have Azure as the backbone, and we have multiple Microsoft solutions that has been put in place from Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, Power Platform, the various dev tools, and industry-specific components. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on the industry-specific components because we begin looking at it and we say, no, being able to just deliver technology, being able to just deliver the cloud, a Microsoft cloud solution is not sufficient enough. We need to think about how our customers need it, how our various industry players need it, and specifically, these are the many industries that we, as a company, we operate in. And I'm going to be deliberate. I'm going to zoom in on how we look at financial services, right? How do we put the Microsoft cloud technology to enable financial services through the transformation of sorts? So, we came in and we thought about, we should have something what we call the Microsoft Cloud for Financial Services. And we need talent that be able to drive these conversations, right? We want to make sure that we are helping the financial services, the fintech world to be able to kind of deliver a different kind of customer experience, because again, a lot of these are accelerated because of what had happened over the last 2 years or sorts, where now customers are now saying, I'm used to mobile banking, I'm used to digital banking, I'm used to having access to the bank's informations and services on the internet. How do we make this different, right? How do we enhance this? How do we help various organizations that have existed over the last 10, 20 years now transform towards this new demand, where people are saying, hey, look, the usual brick and mortar model of walking into a branch, giving me a best service, giving me a cup of coffee as I walk in, greeting me and stuff is no longer sufficient. We are looking for something different. And we're also addressing the needs of a changing dynamics in terms of workforce. How do we help, people in the industry who have been used to work within a controlled environment or a secured environment in office, just to make sure that data are protected, because a lot of sensitive information will be flowing through the organization within financial services. How do we make sure that we still allow them to work collaborative, integrate with one another, without compromising in security because and privacy for that very instance? And things are getting even threats and are even getting more sophisticated, right? How do we know of situations where there are digital scamming, there are people that are coming across? How do we help combat those as well? Because with the broad of new tech, you bring new opportunities, but as what happens as well is you bring in new threats. So how do we kind of address those threats? So we talk hard, and this is really one heavy slide that gives you, for those on how we are looking at the whole technology coming to life, right? We look at it from a connect, unify, analyze, and act perspective, right? How do we it's not about how do we just leverage the Microsoft technology, the Microsoft cloud, but how do we allow the various financial organizations out there leverage on what they have built.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think you're sharing. Can you share your slides again? I think during the disconnect, the slides disappeared.
Sure. Let's. Yep. There you go. Yeah. So I was saying, how do we get this all come to life, right? Because there are different things and tools that are in place. How do we make sure that we are helping the financial services organizations be able to take forward their existing data, their cloud-based data, their SaaS models that are leveraged on, for customer relation management, so on and so forth. How do we connect all these things together, unify them into a sort of a central source, so that we can then pipe in, interesting insights and informations, and have them pipe into various applications that the banking ecosystem or any of our financial services partners will be leveraging upon, be it whether is it for collaboration, whether is it to deliver customer service, whether is it to give them the a mobile applications for them to access their various capabilities and needs within the financial services itself, right? So, and there are many end users in that. And if you look at just this particular slide where we look at the ecosystem and we look at the tools and the technology in place, it's actually, we're looking for people who cut across almost from deep tech to to what we call tech light, right? It's quite apparent if you want to really rethink digital transformation at a organization level, you need architects, you need solution architects to come in to think through how different integration system is going to integrate. You need people to reanalyze, you need data analysis analysts to come in to massage data, understand how this works. You need security people to make sure the right security parameters are put in place, the right threat assessment, the right form of penetration testing that are done as you bring in new tools. You also need the other spectrum of folks who actually think about how do we, how are we going to do the change management on the ground? How do we make sure that we are speaking the bank language as we speak to the bankers? Are we speaking to the insurance providers? We're speaking to the various users who are now going to come on board this new, service that we're rolling out. How do we handle change management for them? How do we make sure that they are coming along with the transformation? And beyond that, as an organization in Microsoft itself, we also need people who does marketing on this. How do we make sure that we are lending and packaging this financial services offering or solutioning or concept to our customers and say, hey, this is something that you can think about as you think through your transformation. And this is how Microsoft is thinking about it. How do we land this across? So when we think about fintech and career and technology in fintech, we're not talking about just the techies, right? The people who know how to code. We are looking at a wide range of individuals from tech-like roles to tech-heavy roles, and everyone kind of play a part because it's actually a huge ecosystem. People kind of have, but the fundamentals behind it is you need to know the industry. You need to have some foundation in technology. You kind of have some 101 about how cloud works and how the financial, the concerns of financial industry, so that you can speak their language and you can understand the concepts behind it, right? So that's kind of the key fundamental. And with that, this is really, really why, and how we think about we are empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. But I've spoken an example on fintech today, but we are doing the same in every single industry as we think through how our technology works in the industry. And like just how our CEO would have put it, right? We are essentially looking for people who wants to join a company to make others cool. We're not the coolest kid on the planet, but we want to have employees who are excited about making other people cool, making our partners, our customers, the kid on the block that everyone looks upon and say, this is indeed transformational, this is indeed refreshing. These are the people that we're looking for, and because of that we are doing, we need people who challenges tradition. We need people who rethinks what is the norm, and be able to at the same time empathize with them as we go through the changes, making sure that we are providing them with the right sense of support, with the right sense of advice from the various facade, from a technical aspect, from a people aspect, and even from a customer aspect, right? So that they can then bring their organization forward. So with that, I'll wrap my presentation for now. And for any who might have missed some parts because of the technical difficulty, if you have any clarification questions, feel free to put them in the chat window or the Q&A window. I'll take them later.
Thank you, Cheng Lei, for sharing about the new Microsoft, the change in behaviors. So now Microsoft culture is about growth mindset, and being okay to be vulnerable, embracing change, exploring the unknown. You said what? Try fast, fail fast, and learn fast, right? And you mentioned that Azure is the backbone, cloud. So Microsoft is now providing the tools to meet the needs of the evolving world. So you also mentioned that new opportunities also result in new threats. And Microsoft is losing how organizations to connect, unify, analyze, and act for their customers. And you're looking for both deep tech as well as tech-like people, change managers, people in marketing. So there looks like there are a lot of opportunities at Microsoft. So later, I think the audience will be checking with you on specifics on how to join Microsoft. And I think any tips you provide, I think will be greatly appreciated. Right, so now I'm happy to introduce Yun Han, one of the growing number of women in tech. She's currently an advisor with Moledao, which is a social platform for blockchain enthusiasts. Let's hear from her about the opportunities in the blockchain field.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Don, for the sharing. And just now, it was super interesting to hear from tech giants, from Mastercard and Microsoft on what they are looking for people who want to join their company. So let me provide another fresh perspective, especially for this emerging sector of blockchain technology, because compared to payment, Microsoft and Mastercard, blockchain technology companies, we are all pretty new and we're all pretty young as well. So let me provide an alternative perspective in this relatively new world of blockchain and cryptocurrency. So a little bit about myself. My name is Yun Han. I have been working in a blockchain space for over 5 years in roles related to marketing, operations, and business development. So I'm very happy to be here today to share more about the opportunities in this space, and more specifically for the blockchain industry, because most of my career, I pretty much started out my career in blockchain. Right now, I'm an advisor at Moledao, and we are actually a blockchain ecosystem builder that aims to empower everyone and bring more people into the exciting world of blockchain technology. So if you're someone looking to build your next project, or you are a developer looking into pivoting into Web3, please feel free to join us on our social media channels. We are often running events as well. For example, right now we do have some booth with our blockchain partners at SkillsFuture Festival in Plaza Singapura from today until Sunday. So if you want to find out more and learn more, feel free to join us at Plaza Singapura, and our peers will be happy to share with you more as well. Another event that we have coming up is also a demo day. So what is a demo day? It is for projects and founders to share about their ideas and to pitch their projects to VCs and investors. So if you're someone building a project in blockchain and Web3, feel free to check out Moledao and join us for our demo day to pitch your idea and get not only attractive prizes, but also potential mentorship in this space. Other than Moledao, I'm also running a blockchain consultancy called the Block School. And part of what we do is we provide blockchain education to the public. If you check out our website, you will see that we have some blockchain courses, and some of them are actually subsidized by SkillsFuture Singapore under the Institute of Banking and Finance. So if you are looking to upskill, learn more about this very exciting and new emerging technology, feel free to check out our courses to upskill and learn more as well. All right, so with this introduction, now I want to share with you why you should consider a career in blockchain. One thing that I want to highlight is that even though Singapore, we are so small, actually our blockchain scene is indeed booming. So in this infographic that you see by Tribe, in 2020, we have over 200 blockchain related companies in Singapore. And these companies, they are all not just within financial sector. Blockchain being a foundational infrastructure technology, it also means that we can potentially apply it to different sectors such as supply chain, such as social media, games, and not just fintech. So if you're someone looking to work in a very exciting space and not just solely on tech or fintech, blockchain technology industry is something that you can consider, because being a foundational technology, the opportunities are endless, not just limited to fintech, decentralized finance space. Although fintech right now is the main sector, it is the sector with the most opportunities and companies. So you can look at this landscape. It spans across multiple industries, from services to decentralized finance to financial services, even to smart cities and even to supply chain. All right, so opportunities are indeed endless here. You are not limited to a specific space, which makes this space even more exciting if you are looking to change your career or, explore a new career. And here are some differences. I have actually split out the different roles in the potential career in blockchain. And mainly we have two main tracks that may interest you. The first is technical track. Technical track meaning you are joining the space as a developer, be it front end, back end, full stack, or smart contract developer. Another track that I think most of you will be interested in, especially if you are not a tech guy, it is non-technical roles. Non-technical roles, we are talking about everything, maybe operations, business development, marketing, and consultancy, and so on. So let's go one by one to find out more about the opportunities. The first is barriers to entry, which means how hard it is to get into this role. For technical role, I would say that the barriers to entry is higher than non-technical role, because you do need prior programming skills, you do need prior programming knowledge. And because different blockchain, they have their own programming language. So you not only need to know programming language like C++ or this, but depending on which blockchain that you want to build on, you may need to learn additional programming language. So this is a barrier that you may need to consider, but not to worry, because actually a lot of the programming logic are pretty similar. So if you have a good computing knowledge, it will be quite easy for you to tap on and learn more about the other blockchain programming language, such as Solidity as well. And for non-technical role, I'm happy to say that actually the barriers to entry is way, way, way lower, especially if you're fresh in your career or mid-career. So just to share about myself, actually, before I joined the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. Actually, I was in the communications role. I also work in fintech startups. So I didn't really have specific experience in blockchain and crypto, but I still managed to get into this industry due to my interest. So I would highlight that for early to mid-career people, interest in this space is very important. So if you are very excited to learn about this space, you are very interested to learn about blockchain and cryptocurrency, you have an advantage because previously when I was working in cryptocurrency exchanges, for example, part of the interview process is getting candidates to do like a quiz, a multiple choice question, short answer question regarding their knowledge in blockchain technology. All right, so this is also how we kind of judge their interest and their passion for this industry. So I want to highlight that if you yourself are very interested in cryptocurrency, NFT, metaverse, decentralized finance, and you yourself are a practitioner, I think you hold an advantage because our industry is always looking for people, and people that have passion and people who have skin in the game are exactly who we are looking for, especially for early to mid-career people. And this is because this space is so new. Blockchain technology was just kind of invented 12 years ago. So I would say that there are no special expert in this space. And what does this mean? This means that you could potentially be the next expert. You could potentially be the next person who found a blockchain company. You may be the one leading this space in the future. All right, so opportunities are really endless in this space. And next, I want to touch on demand. Good news, demand for tech developers are super duper high. If you are a developer and you know smart contract programming language, I can assume you, I can assure you, if you want to look for a job, right, companies will be queuing up for you. All right, so this is the state of this industry. This industry, we are kind of desperately looking for more developers because we need more people to build this infrastructure. We need more people to get on board and build on this space. So if you are a developer, I highly recommend you to check out a potential career in blockchain development, especially because right now, blockchain, I would say, is a sunrise industry. And even in the mainstream media, you see so much buzzword. Everyone is talking about metaverse. Everyone is talking about NFTs. Everyone is talking about decentralized finance, decentralized autonomous organizations as well. So opportunities are endless. And for non-technical role as well, I want to highlight that demand is still considered relatively high, especially for financial service sectors such as fintech company dealing with blockchain and cryptocurrency, definitely cryptocurrency exchanges as well. And of course, decentralized finance projects, projects dealing with Web 3.0. And the next point I want to highlight is some additional information that may be good to note for you. As mentioned for technical roles, you do need to learn blockchain programming language because different blockchains have different programming language. But like what I mentioned earlier, it is not hard to learn if you already have a solid foundation in programming. And there are actually a lot of boot camps and a lot of resources available for developers who want to learn blockchain programming language, and a lot of funding as well. So as long as you're interested and you are very passionate, opportunities are out there. For non-technical role, I want to highlight that if you have fintech and banking experience and you're looking for a career in blockchain and cryptocurrency related to payments, related to decentralized finance, then it is an advantage for you because a lot of crypto company, some of their purpose is to disrupt banking, or they even want to replace banking. So of course, who do they look for? They will look for people who work in banking before. For crypto investment companies, they want to invest in the next unicorn. They want to find the best investment. So of course, who will they hire? They will definitely consider people working in VCs, people working in private equity as well, because they want people with past experience to bring old money into crypto. All right, so these are some of the things that you can note if you are someone, be it if you're someone looking for a technical role in crypto, blockchain or a non-technical role in blockchain and crypto. And before I end, I want to share some interesting statistics that I found online on this website called Angel List, which actually share jobs in the fintech and startup scene. And I think one of the key elements that we all think about when we think about whether to take up a career, take up a job, is of course the pay, because everyone, we want higher pay, we want better opportunities. So this is a very interesting statistics you can see. Blockchain related jobs compared to non-blockchain related jobs in rate, you can see that both for technical and non-technical role, blockchain related jobs kind of command a higher salary. All right, so this is good news because higher salary means, of course, better, right? And this is one of the, how to say, the hook that make people want to join blockchain and cryptocurrency industry as well, because demand for talent is super high and companies are willing to pay. And another statistic that I want to share that I personally love a lot is that percentage of jobs tagged remote friendly. You can see here, blockchain companies way higher than other companies. And this is really awesome because blockchain companies, a lot of them, they focus a lot on a decentralized workforce. And actually a lot of companies, they are moving into this new model called the decentralized autonomous organization model, where decision is not made top down and everyone work like in a team. Decisions are made through voting, for example. All right, so a lot of companies in this space are moving to a DAO model. And what does this mean? It means that there are even more remote friendly kind of job where you can work from anywhere, you can go traveling, and then you can work from your laptop and also attend more blockchain related events because this industry is very, very decentralized. Because, you know, one of the main tenets of why blockchain is decentralization. So even the industry itself, we are also moving towards decentralization. So if you're someone who hate cubicle job, you don't like to report to office, I'm happy to say that in the blockchain space, we have a lot of very open companies who are open to remote workers. All right, we are open to workers from not just in Singapore, but all over the world, as long as you have keen passion, you have keen knowledge and keen interest in this industry. So you can see here at the bottom corner of this photo is actually a photo of a metaverse called Gather Town. And this is actually where Moledao, we normally hold our weekly meeting. So to me, it's very fun because even though I'm at home, I'm not reporting to office, I still can report to a virtual office and network with my colleague. All right, so with this emerging space, it means that we also have new way of doing things and how we work is very non-traditional. So if you're someone who like new things, you like excitement, you like a very interesting career path, I would say that a blockchain industry is something that you can look at because this industry is still growing. Every day, every week, we have something new going on. So if you join us, you are literally growing along with this industry. You are literally shaping the industry along with us. So with this, I don't want to say too much to end off. I want to say that if you're someone that is very passionate about blockchain and crypto, you hold NFT, you are a DeFi degen, and you have a lot of interest in this industry, you want to work in a place that is very fast-paced, fast-changing, and exciting with no career ceiling, please consider a career in blockchain and Web 3.0. Please also feel free to key in questions in the question portal. I'll be happy to answer them later as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Yun Han, for sharing on how you entered blockchain, right? So interest is key, right? The most important is interest is key. And the data you showed, I think the pay is also a good factor that can attract a lot of people in, right? So I'm sure the audience, if you're interested, the tip is the next 3 days, go down to Plaza Singapura. You can meet the Moledao people, easier for you to talk to them and find a way to get a job with Moledao or enter the blockchain space, right? Our next speaker is TY, who is a director of Outliers VC Dao. So you heard a little bit of DAOs from Yun Han. So he currently co-manages a $50 million blockchain fund So TY is highly experienced in identifying talents. So TY, what can you share with us on what you look out for in people?
Okay, yeah. So thanks a lot for the introduction, and also thanks for Yu Han to introduce a bit about the blockchain areas and also the people we need. So basically, my name is TY, and then I work in a venture capital called Outliers Farms. So I taking care of the crypto investment and also like a crypto Web3 investment globally, and dedicated to investing those kind of the early stage startup company and founders in every single countries. So as Yihan says that we are very decentralized in these areas. So right now I'm in London, so it's like midnight here, so like 3:53. Then last month I was in Paris, and next month, and then I will move to Singapore. I'm based in Singapore actually, but I travel quite a fair bit to like South America, like Africa, or maybe like Japan, Hong Kong, and that America. Those kind of the areas to looking for the good and quality project and the quality founders to invest. So that is the fantastic part for the venture capital in the crypto areas. Yeah, so basically, I mean, we have been investing in the crypto industry and supporting the startup founders since 2016, then until this moment. So very pleasure to be here in the panel discussion and welcome any question if you have regarding the skills you need in the Web3 industry, or maybe that you want to hear about the venture capital, what do we want, then if you have any question, just feel free to ask later on. All right, so yeah, so as you can see that so basically, today we are going to talk about that how can the people can pivot to these sectors, and that in blockchain areas, what kind of skills we need it. So if you want to enter the Web3 or crypto industries, you have to, I think the first things that you have to think about if you believe it or not. That's very, very important because we are pretty new, and I can say that a lot of scam projects and a lot of liars that in this industry. But of course, that is actually the beauty of the industry as well. And also, as you can see, that the most of the technology in the very early stage, like blockchain, right now, they come with a lot of scammers and also a lot of people, they don't believe it. Just for example, like back to maybe like 1990, back to early 20s and early 20, probably 2000s, 2000. When the people start to use the internet, when the people start to use the email, a lot of people, they actually think that why I need to use the email, because I can write later. Right now it's very convenient, blah blah blah. So people don't believe. Back to time, people didn't really believe emails, but right now, as you can see, that every single individual, they are using the email right now. So that's the stage of the technology development, just as the blockchain areas. So blockchain just, I mean, inventing to this world probably a few years ago, 12 years ago. And then when they start to come into the world and people start to notice that it's actually nearly 5 years. So we have been the early crypto adopter and also investing in those crypto projects since 2016. So we can see the entire trend, and also a lot of people, they start to know these kind of things. A lot of companies, they try to adopt the crypto technology in the world. So we can see that in the next probably 5 to 10 years, the crypto technology, the mass adoption of the crypto technology is actually coming in the near futures. So that's why right now, actually, it is a very good timing for the people to join or maybe to enter this kind of industry. So basically, belief and the motivation is what is actually the first things you have to think about that. So, and second things that if you don't know, trying to do some research. If you don't know, don't understand, trying to chat with the people in the industry. They will share with you about their views. They will share with you about the insight about these kind of things, instead of the scammer news everywhere from the internet. So basically, that is things that you can do to fill up your motivation, and also chat with the people in the industries. So there's the things that I would encourage the people to do and to do. So basically, and also right now, a lot of many projects and many people they start to working in this kind of industry and to working as the different types of application to try to moving this world to try to moving the technology moving forwards. And then so if you are a developer, that's very good. You can think about that. Try to developing, or maybe you have your own ideas. Try to set up your own company in the Web3 areas because that this industry really need people to come in, to join, and also to build something. As you can see that most of the countries, like in Singapore, those kind of or maybe like developing country like probably China, America, the blockchain application might not be very popular. But from the investment point of view, when I went to South America, or maybe when I went to the Africa, this is actually the blockchain technology they really use in the society. So like, for example, like probably you understand that the Africa is actually from the statistics, Africa is actually the second largest place for the people to adopt the mobile cash. So the first one is actually in China. The second one is in Africa, and also that the traditional financial infrastructure, or maybe the payment infrastructure in Africa, is actually very limited. And also most of the financial infrastructure, or maybe payment infrastructure, is actually dominated by the telecom giants like a British Telecom, like Orange. And so that's why, I mean, cross-border transaction in Africa is actually very expensive and time consuming. And also that it's not very convenient for the cross-border transaction as well. So that's the reason why blockchain technology comes to the Africa and actually give the people very convenient technology, or maybe convenient to the tool for using for cross-border transaction, or maybe to pay the money as well. Like in South America, the inflation rate is actually very, very high. So the people doesn't want to use the local currency. And also the people doesn't want to USD as well. So that's why the people start to adopt the crypto to use the stable coin, the USDC, USDD, to pay the transaction or to buy the things in the local country, like in Argentina, in Brazil, in South America. So that's why, I mean, the blockchain technology, they really have like a real user case in the developing countries, like Indonesia, like South America, like Africa. So that's why when you come into this industry, you will feel that you're doing something great to the society, not only for like just credit money. You not only like because you think that this industry have a lot of money, then you come in because that you probably will get a higher salary. It's not only like this. It's actually, but also that you will feel that you really driving some value, and also you're really driving the human history in the different types of area, and try to use the technology. Really use the technology to improve the human beings' lives. So that's the beauty of the cryptos, and also that's the beauty of this industry as well. So that's the first one. I want to share how can you pivot to this sector, and so what kind of skill set you need. So as Yu Han mentioned before, a lot of we actually need a lot of people. So we welcome the different types of people. They have the skill set, and also they have open-minded mindset, and to join the industry. And of course, from the industry point of view, because blockchain still this is a technology. So learning a programming language is actually the fastest way to jump into this industry. And also that the programming language is not that difficult compared to probably Golang, compared to like a Java, compared to the traditional programming language. So you can learn the language called Solarities. So because that there's only around 200,000 developers, Solidity developers around the world. So it's actually very, very limited at this point of time. And also maybe only 10% are really expert in it globally. So you can see that which means that only 20,000 Solidity developer that are really expert in. So you can see that the demand of this industry is going very, very fast. We need a different type of application. We need the developers. So that's why with a rapid growth rate, with application and expected future for the mass adoption in the real world, the demand of this developer is huge and really got the potentials. So if you want to jump into the industry, the fastest way is actually try to learn some like a programming language like Solidity. And also that with this skill set, you actually can work on the remote project first. You don't need to work with the full-time Solidity developers. You can use your free time, you can freelance first. Try to understand what is that, and also try to developing some like application using the Solidity via the project base. From working with the remote projects, and to understand this industry first. And then if you feel comfortable, if you have keen to moving forward, then you can try to transfer your full-time career to this industry. So I think that the learning Solidity can be one of the best investments so far from the investment point of view. All right. The next part is that probably people will think about, or maybe will think that why, what kind of people the venture capital need in these industries. The VC for the crypto VC, or maybe the crypto fund, compared to a traditional VC, traditional fund is a big difference. Because the most of investment target is actually the crypto applications, crypto project. And then it's quite different compared to the traditional financing like the equity investment. Although that we have some like equity investment, or maybe the percentage of the equity investment is actually going right now, but I think most of the investment we still invest in the crypto. So although that so as you can see that the crypto is very, very new. So no one can claim, like myself, or maybe like my founder, like the other partner for the crypto funds, no one can claim themselves they are the expert, because this industry is just changing very, very fast. If you're using the same investment methodology to invest in the crypto project in 2019, 2020, there will be completely different thesis when you invest in the crypto in 2021, when you invest in the crypto in 2022. So I think that the learning is fast learner is actually very, very important in this industry. So that's the first one, first learner. And second one is most importantly, crypto natives. So how to say the people is crypto natives? So means that you have to be surrounded with the news from the crypto world, that you have to do your own research, you have to working on your own investment. So if you don't believe in crypto, probably if you want to enter the industry, you probably can buy some crypto, a little bit amount of the money, not a huge amount of money, maybe few thousand Sing dollar, maybe few thousand USD. That is good enough. You try to invest some in the crypto world, and then because you put your own money in the investment, so that's why you will start to notice this kind of news. You will start to talk to the people. You will start to doing your own research about the crypto. Just try to make your investment better and try to grow your profitability in the future. So in terms of with this research, then you will become like more and more like crypto native, and then that is a person actually crypto world needed. So especially for the VC, we need the people who are the fast learner. We don't need an MBA. We don't need MBA degrees. We have like a lot of analysts that actually just came from the bachelor degrees. But they are very, very crypto native. They have been investing in the crypto probably since like a few years ago. They are pretty professional compared to us as well. So that's why putting some money into crypto and work on some research. You have your own investment thesis, and also another skill set is actually networking skill set. Because as an analyst or as a professional, maybe like associate in the crypto funds, crypto VC, one of the key things for the analyst and associate is actually that not only for the research, but also for the sourcing the projects. So how to find the good project globally or maybe locally, it's actually very depends on the networking skill set. How are you going? How do you interact with the people in the research? How likable you are, and then people, whether they can trust you or not. That is a very important skill set, and maybe the personality in the crypto world, especially for the crypto funds, for the venture capital in the Web3 industry. The last part is actually what are we looking for the startup founders? Because I can from my understanding is that most of the audience today is actually they just graduated, maybe they're young. they're probably maybe they are crypto native and they want to set up their own company before. So I can share with you what kind of the founder or maybe the startup project always like a VC always looking for. The first one is that the passionate and driven founders. That's very, very important. They have their own charisma. They are pretty charismatic, and they have their own charisma. They want to build something in this world instead of just earning the money. That is a very, very important personality and traits we are looking for, and probably the most one. I mean, because motivation is that always the key for you to doing the for you to do the things. So passionate and driven founder with a really reasonable motivation. They want to build something instead of just like eagerly earning the money. That's someone we are looking for. And second one is the upfront and honest. Because that in this world, in the crypto world, you are too close to the money. So that's why you can see a lot of scammers. They just want to grab the money and runs. And that is something we don't want to see, because that won't be very helpful to improve this industry. So upfront and honest with the people, with the stakeholder, with the investor. That's another important traits we are looking for. Transparency. Yeah, so if you want to doing something, you want to build out your own startup project in crypto areas, welcome. You have this kind of personality or maybe like criteria or maybe standard, you think that you're good, and they just come and build something. And also in this industry, raising the money for your own startup project is not that difficult compared to the Web 2 or maybe compared to a traditional industry. So yeah, so it's very friendly to the young folks, to the young entrepreneurs. They want to do something to make the world better. We are very, very welcome to the people to join this world if you are this kind of personality. Yeah, so that's my part, I think. So if you have any question regarding the VC, you have any question regarding the Web3 crypto industry, feel free to ask using your chat channel. Then I'm very happy to and try my best to answer all of your questions as I can. Thank you.
Thank you, TY. Thanks for joining us at such an odd timing for you. As TY has said, blockchain has a lot of opportunities as well as scammers in the space. You mentioned that Africa is a great use case for blockchain because why? The structure is not very well organized. That is why this is a technology that disrupts, and accelerates inclusion for those who are not so well included. And again, you also identified that Solidity developers, there are only 200,000 in the world and only 10% are experts. So good space to come in if you are just learning the language, right? And the key things, I think you mentioned you need to be open-minded, curious, you need to learn programming, right? And you suggested freelancing first and being involved in crypto, do your research. And of course, you need to develop your networking skills to find great projects. And your criteria for founders being passionate and driven and not just to earn money. The money is maybe a side effect of what you're doing. People who are charismatic, upfront and honest. And what is important is to educate yourself on blockchain, correct? Okay, good. Now that brings us to the panel discussion on what I think a lot of the audience are interested in doing, how to build a career in blockchain. So I think I start with a very simple question to Santi. Are you hiring and how do I join Mastercard?
Yes, we are. Like I said, we have our website that's available, and I can post it later. And we have a wide variety of requirements across those 4 areas that I just mentioned, right? Whether it's in terms of developing the customer experience, helping us build and scale our infrastructure, creating a lot of fintech partnerships, because we, as a fintech, we also partner with a lot of other fintechs and invest in them as well. And then also making sure that our data and services are grown in a very meaningful fashion, right? So we do have a lot of requirements, and in Mastercard, we are a big fan of regional cross-posting. So you would actually find roles there that can work here in Singapore and in other parts of Asia Pacific and even globally as well, right? One thing that I'd like to share is that we value a lot of mobility in our corporation. So, and because we are a global company and we work with many different regions and divisions, we very much value cross-pollination and people actually learning different skill sets in different markets across different disciplines.
Good. So what is the process like then in joining Mastercard? How would could you roughly talk about the hiring process and all that, so that at least they know what to look forward to when they apply to Mastercard?
Yeah, so I mean, we are available on the general job hiring sites, whether it's on LinkedIn or Glassdoor. You could actually apply there, or you could apply directly on Mastercard, or you could go through our referral programs as well. And then you are able to understand what is required in terms of a role standpoint. We normally schedule a very flat process where you get interviewed by our talent acquisition team, and then immediately by the hiring manager. And then additional layers of interviews only happen when there are cross-functional requirements. Because like I said, we are a very cross-matrix organization. For example, even I'm based here in Singapore, I work very much with our North American counterparts. I spend a lot of time in Australasia and South Asia as well, right? So depending on the stakeholders that you will be working with, you'll have interview sessions with them, right? And then, yeah, it's as straightforward as that. So, I mean, my advice is that, just be open to making sure that you're able to work with different types of people, different cultures, and different working styles as well, right? But what we do, again, take pride in is that we try to make ourselves like a true flat global organization wherein we provide the same sets of tools and as much as possible working styles to allow people to work from anywhere. I mean, just as a quick anecdote, right? We recently launched one of our benefits. It's called Work from Anywhere. So like in Mastercard, 20 days. This is apart from your normal leaves or your you have like approximately 15 types of leaves in Mastercard. But this is a unique one because it actually allows you to, again, choose a place and you can work anywhere from abroad for 20 days as long as you work with your manager. Like I know one colleague that actually worked in Europe for 20 days straight with their manager over here, and it just worked well, right? So it creates that flexibility, right? For people to work in tech. Because in tech, it's really now about creating the output, right? As opposed to being on a desk and actually, doing the daily grind.
Yeah. So it's just outcomes based, right?
Yeah.
And people need to be adaptable, right?
Yes.
Moving across regions, across countries, that sort of stuff. Okay,
Correct.
Thanks, Santi. Cheng Lei, what about for Microsoft then? What's the process like there? I mean, to come on board.
Okay, so we have a slightly similar process. So all our roles are on careers.microsoft.com. You put in your application. If you're shortlisted, then recruiter will reach out to you. We typically have about two to three rounds of interview by people. People that you potentially will be working with, your peers and the managers, and sometimes again cross metrics organization as well. One of the things in Microsoft, as much as I think as what Santi has mentioned, you have to be prepared to work across the region, across the globe. I for myself work as the only person in Singapore that's in my team that's based out here. My manager sits out of China and my teammate sits out of Sydney, Australia. So so I think that's you need to be very comfortable in working in this kind of environment and making sure that you can handle cross-cultural differences and contexts. So which is why the interview is kind of structured in that way.
So what about those people who don't really have the opportunity? I mean, if you've worked cross-culturally with others, you have some experience. So what advice would you give to those who maybe just graduated or have not so much experience cross-culturally? What should they do to learn these skills?
Yeah, I think being in Singapore, I think most of even fresh graduates are quite a fortunate bunch. You will have some form of cross-cultural exposure or interaction, whether be it when you're in your university days as you are living, and if you're living on campus with different people from exchange, or having an exchange overseas as part of your internship or as part of your your actual curriculum. So I think all this builds up, and these are things that we look for, right? So being able to work with others, being able to understand how and fit into a slightly different kind of cultural settings as opposed to what you would see in Singapore.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, Yun Han. So, you mentioned a lot of stuff, and I think learning the language was one of the key things. I mean, if you want to go in the tech side. So, do you know how long it would take on average to learn something like Solidity or C++?
I think it depends. Like, let's say you already know prior programming. So I think learning Solidity could be like, I assume like a few weeks because you already have prior knowledge about programming. But let's say you are starting from zero, meaning you don't know any programming language. I think you need to go for bootcamp first, like, 3-month programming bootcamp. And then after that, go and learn Solidity. Yeah, so I would say the barriers to entry is way lower for developers already because they can easily pick up Solidity. It is just maybe some of the logic a bit different, but they will get the gist of Solidity very quickly. But if you are totally new, I think at least 3 months, first few months for you to learn programming, and then the next few weeks to really get the grasp of blockchain programming language like Solidity. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe a bit more details. When you say 3 months, what exactly do they need to do for the 3 months? Is it like what, 12 hours a day or 4 hours?
All right, so I cannot give like the best estimate. So this is just from my personal point of view. So I think if you are starting from zero, 3 months is boot camp style intensive. All right, because I don't think it's so easy to learn programming, and it's not just about learning programming. Learning is the first part. The second part is building your portfolio on like GitHub. Because for programming, I think you learn the most by doing, by coming with your own projects. For example, a lot of my friends, they didn't start their career in computer programming, but they went for bootcamp and they built up their GitHub portfolio. So once you have your portfolio, it is easy for you to apply for technical jobs because you can show something. So I would say that learning does not just stop at, go and take programming course. Anyone can take it. The next step, and for you to really stand apart from the rest of the candidate, is for you to show what you have done. Portfolio is more important. Yeah, so I would say 3 months, right, is a good gauge, especially if you're passionate and you are really interested to jump into development. Yeah, so, but it depends on your learning speed. So I cannot say it is like definitely 3 months. It's just from my opinion, at least 3 months of intensive learning.
Yeah, I mean, it also shows, right? It means you are willing to commit at least 3 months to learn something new and see how it will go from there, right? Because like you said, everybody has a different learning speed. Some people learn faster, some people learn slower, but as long as you dedicate yourself to going to want to learn something to grow, right?
But I want to highlight that it's not just technical role. Actually, in blockchain crypto, we have a lot of non-technical roles as well. So for example, for myself, I work more in non-technical role. Yeah, so I would say that there is a lot of opportunities. And let's say you not sure whether you like programming, you can still contribute to this space in a lot of non-technical roles as well. Yeah.
Okay. So TY, there's actually a question that I think somebody asked that you're gonna answer. Yeah.
I just pressed wrong, by the way. But anyway, I can answer this kind of question.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that we are not it's not all the panelists profession in Solidity because that's a programming language. But as a newcomer into this industry, I think learning a Solidity is actually the fastest way if you are just graduated. So because after graduate, you probably don't have like too much like professional or maybe too much like professional experience or maybe skill set in the world. So I mean, learning the Solidity, that would be the fastest. I mean, the way for you to jump in the industry right away, because that's a very important skill set in this world, and the application is actually growing. Yeah, and what other skill set we need to learn? I think that the Solidity is one. Probably maybe that you are really good those kind of growth strategy, or maybe you are really good at engaging that community. Yeah, maybe that you have your own way to grow the social community, maybe online and offline. That is the one important skill set maybe you can learn, or maybe you can know as well, because that every single application once complete their own developments, and they need a person who are really proficient, maybe expert in the community building or maybe the growth strategy to grow the users. So there is something that probably you can think about, the user growth, how to engage the customer or maybe the consumer in the future.
Okay, thanks, TY. We also have a question from Shirley. She's asking about sharing about non-technical roles. I think this should be for Yun Han. I think Santi and also Cheng Lei can also answer on the non-technical roles in the organizations. Right? So we start, Yun Han.
Yes, I think when you look at non-technical role, there is a diverse range. You can think of just startups, fintech startups. What do people need? And I think because blockchain industry is so new, you can think of most company working in a very lean manner, like a startup. So you can think firstly, what are startups looking for? So most of the startups, we are looking for people who are, okay, not really all-rounder, but they are okay with doing beyond their job scope sometimes. So for example, people in operations, people in business development, people in marketing, people in consultancy, all this. So actually the roles are not limited because every company have different roles. So actually there's a lot of cross-transferable skill. So I think I would ask back to the audience here, what are you currently working as? Maybe you can even, transfer your skill over, because all companies, all businesses, they all have a lot of different roles that you can actually cross-transfer your skill. Yeah, so it depends on what you are passionate in, what you're interested in. Although I want to highlight that for blockchain industry, we do have some interesting roles that you don't find in traditional industry. So for example, let's say traditional industry, digital marketing is all about search engine optimization, media buys. But in blockchain industry, digital marketing is a bit different. We are more about community. It's more about building communities, and the channels we use are also very different. We use a lot of communications channels such as Discord, Twitter, which is not normally what other tech companies use for their marketing stack. All right, so I would say that yes, a lot of the non-technical roles are cross-transferable, but you should also be open to learning new skills, because different industries, you also have different skills and different tools that we use to engage.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Santi?
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Han, 100%. It's the nature of the beast, right? When you're a tech company, it's not all about building tech, right? And like you said, there are roles in, I just looked at our job site right now. There are roles in marketing, business development, rewards, franchise, legal, product management, strategy. It's a quick anecdote as well, just the past 2 years, we've had even people within the organization transfer from finance and HR into product management, right? And vice versa. And then you'd have people working highly in technical going into sales, right? So there are indeed transferable skills. And at the same, because the core skills in terms of working are quite valuable in terms of being flexible. And then, the subject matter expertise is something that the company will help you get trained up on, right? And provide you the experience. So I think, my advice is that not to be scared, right? But to what you had said, go with what you're passionate about, right? And your passions can change. So keep on following them as they evolve, as technology always evolves anyway, right?
Yep. Okay, Cheng Lei?
Yeah, my answer is very similar to what Santi has shared. So I'm not going to elaborate further so that we can take another question so that it's fast, so that we can answer as much questions as we can.
Okay, sure. I think there was another question about the typical working hours, or how much time. I think this one, anybody wants to tackle that? Typical working hours, I think.
I can take this. My typical working hours, I don't have the standard 8 to 5 because I work in a global organization and I have stakeholders in the US. So there are days that I will take up calls in the US and quite late at night, so maybe 11 o'clock, 12 midnight kind of thing. But I start the next day, maybe post 10, post 11 o'clock. So I think as you move into the tech world, as you move into working from anywhere, you kind of have to be prepared that things are not going to be 8 to 5. in terms of how much hours you commit after hours to kind of build programming portfolio, it goes down to the culture, right? So for us in Microsoft, we do set aside time for our engineers to actually work on what we call the garage project. So you can spend official working hours working on pet projects that you're interested about, the technology that you want to explore. We also, even beyond engineering, in our sales organization, we also have things like what we call quiet days. So we block out a day once a month for people to actually just focus on what you want, learn or do, learn on things that you're interested on, or you might just want to take a disconnect and say, I just need some time for myself as a well-being and stuff. So there are, I think, as we pivot into this new hybrid work kind of ecosystem, a lot of all these things have been put in place. So it's no longer the traditional 8 to 5 kind of concept, and then you're going to spend your own time to do your own development of sorts.
Okay, cool, thanks. So Moledao, there's a question for Moledao. So Yun Han, you aren't able to answer this question. Moledao is a startup. Can you share what's the core competencies, or what do you focus on?
All right, thanks, Don, for the question as well. So Moledao, actually, what we do is we are a connector. You can think of us as a bridge. We are your bridge to blockchain. We are your bridge to the Web3 world. So one of our core mission is to bring more people into the blockchain space, and we kind of also focus more on developers, because the Web3 space is so new. We want more passionate people to build in the Web3, build in blockchain space. So one of our key targets are developers. So how we focus on developer and how we drive more people into the space is that we organize a lot of events, and we also organize a lot of networking events for people to connect, and for founders to meet VCs, for founders to meet other passionate people, so we can all build together. So for example, previously we actually launched 2 hackathons. So as you can see from the name hackathon, what is a hackathon for? It is for developers to initiate and come up with their own blockchain project in a short period of time. And this is how we actually try to encourage more developers to build, by organizing events such as hackathons for them to have the chance to experiment and rapidly build up their own MVP for their project. Yep, so to answer your question, some of the core competency that we focus on is attracting more builders into the space. But this is not what we only do. Our role as a bridge means that we also want to educate people. We want to make more people interested to learn more about this technology. So we do hold also educational workshops for non-technical people. And personally, for my consultancy, the Block School, we have blockchain courses for people with zero knowledge about blockchain to attend. So we do quite a lot of wide range of things, but I think our main mission is to connect people to the blockchain world, bring people to Web3. Yeah, so I would say as a startup, we are more of a community. We are not really selling a product per se, but we are more of a bridge. We are a community that we can link you up to VCs like Outliers Fund. We can link you up to resources that you need. And sometimes we can also advise you on what you can do.
Okay, thank you. Very enjoyable session with all of you. I think we've come to the end of time already. There's still a few questions. So before we leave, maybe we just go around the table. Everybody give a tip on what they should do. If you are early in your career, your mid-career, what you should do if you want to enter the fintech industry. Maybe you start with TY.
Okay, I think first thing is that be open-minded, because not only crypto, especially like the entire fintech industry is actually pretty new compared to the traditional industry, compared to the traditional finance. So I mean, be open-minded and do believe that this kind of technology can really moving forward and also to improve the human beings' lives. So I think the first one is be open-minded and then be the quick learner. Try to learn as much as you can, try to learn as fast as you can, because the entire fintech industry is actually change very, very fast. Every single year they change. Yeah, so that is the things. And yeah, so I think that is for my part. I mean, the 2
Thanks
advice.
for the tip, TY.
Yeah.
Yun Han.
So I agree with TY as well. So I want to add that one thing that I think you can just do is just start. All right, don't think too much, because sometimes I think when we think about career, think about what we do, we spend a lot of time thinking, but why not just do? So for example, if you're interested in a career in blockchain, just start. Network with more blockchain industry people, take up courses. So when you do, you are not in a state of inertia, and that's where you can learn, and that's where you can think what you want to do next. So I would just end with the saying, just do it, just start, just do something, and then from there you will figure out more.
Awesome. Okay, Cheng Lei?
I would say just make what you're doing your passion. Don't make work for you. Make work for you and not the other way around. If you're doing that, you will never struggle in the ever-changing industry.
Okay, thanks, Cheng Lei. Finally, Santi.
Yeah, so agree with everything that has been said so far, but I just probably add 3 more things. One, try to always look for adjacencies. When you're looking at a certain thing, don't think that, when, it's a certain product, whether it's blockchain, right, or traditional payments. It's not just about that. We need to kind of go broad and see what are the things that go around these things, because it allows you to open more doors, right? And finally, basically, it's about just learning to make connections, and 3 types of connections. One, you need to connect different concepts from different industries. Always be willing to do that. Learn to connect systems, and of course, learn to connect with people, right? I think with those things, you'll be on your way.
Thanks, Santi. And finally, I just wanted to share with you, because I was from the FinTech Lab, so they are launching the FinTech Lab on the 31st of January next year. So if you're interested to network with people, you can scan them and RSVP with them. This is the QR code, or you can go directly to RSVP link. Okay, that's all for our session today. Thank you very much for joining us here, and I'll hand you back to Phoebe, our host.
All right, thank you, speakers. So we hope that you have taken away some pointers and insights from this webinar. If you need guidance on your tech upskilling journey, you can sign up for the free one-to-one skills and training advisory session with SSG Skills Ambassadors. They will have a conversation with you to understand your needs and objectives. It could be a new skill you're looking for to enhance your employment prospects or for your career transition plans, and share with you the relevant information. So this includes course search and recommendations, type of assistance schemes and funding, SkillsFuture credit, and other resources on my SkillsFuture portal. There are 3 ways to find or contact a Skills Ambassador. Visit us at any of the locations indicated on the map. Please note the operation dates and time. They will provide you with suitable course recommendations based on your career goals. Simply scan the QR code or click the link in chat to register, and they'll reach out to you within 3 to 4 working days. We have come to the end of our session. We would appreciate if you could take a minute to fill in the feedback form by scanning the QR code. Once again, thank you for taking time to join us in our webinar. Goodbye.